Hi, boys and girls. We are going to continue our work learning about the colonies. I'd like you to turn to page 106. We'll be reading a few pages 106 through 109. Our focus today will be on the middle colonies. Turn to 106, please. So our topic today, we're learning about the middle colonies. And I'm just going to pull out my map and just show you a little bit about where we're talking about. The last time that we met, we talked about the New England colonies, which are up in this region or this region area right here. Now we're going to be moving into the middle colonies. So we're talking about this coastline right along in here. Eventually, we'll be talking about the southern colonies. So the 13 colonies are broken up into three major groups based on like different people that settled there, beliefs, government, and really natural resources. So depending on where you felt you would fit in the best, you could settle in the New England area, in the middle area, or in the southern colonies area. Today, middle colonies. Our learning target, as we are reading about the middle colonies, we're going to be reading about New Netherland and New Jersey. I do want to remind you that the colonies that we are talking about were owned by England. So always keep in mind that a colony is owned by another country. During this time period, these people were actually considered under England's power or England's control. They were given some freedom to govern themselves, though, since England was way across the ocean. Our big goal that we are working on is summarizing, but summarizing in the fact that we're looking for specific people that are going to be important in the history of the middle colonies. So as we're reading today, I want you to keep your eyes and ears open for significant people who was really important in the settling of New Netherlands and New Jersey. Okay, let's get a start. In 1609, Henry Hudson claimed the land that is now New York for the Dutch. Then in 1621, the Dutch West India Company decided to set up a colony there. They called it New Netherland. New Amsterdam, which is present-day Manhattan, was one of the most important settlements in New Netherland. The Dutch had brought the land from the Manahates. New Amsterdam had a great natural harbor, which made it perfect for trade. The colony's many natural resources included timber, fish, and fur-bearing animals. It soon was filled with sailors and traders from all over the world. The Dutch were tolerant of different religious and ethnic groups. So when I'm talking about Manhattan, that is New York area. All right. To attract new settlers, the Dutch West India Company offered land grants to patroons in 1629. Patroons were wealthy Dutchmen who agreed to bring 50 people to the colony. However, because settlers had to clear the land themselves and share their crops with the patroons, the system did not attract many colonists. You won't necessarily need to be completely knowledgeable about that, but just know that these wealthy landowners came here, they brought 50 people with them, but those 50 people had to really work hard and they really owed the patroons a lot. Wasn't so successful. The English take New Netherlands. In 1664, King Charles II of England gave his brother James, the Duke of York, a gift. The gift included all of the land between the Connecticut and the Delaware rivers, including New Netherlands. The Duke of York arrived in the harbor of New Amsterdam with 4 warships. Peter Stuyvesant, the fiery governor of New Netherlands, wanted to fight them. The Dutch colonists had no interest in fighting the English. New Netherland fell without firing a shot. The English named the colony New York. So we have the Duke of York. King of England gave the Duke of York, his brother, this big plot of land, but some of the people from New Amsterdam were already living there. When the king sent over these warships and his brother was there to claim the land, The people that were living there from New Amsterdam just kind of gave up and said, all right, we will give up. New Netherland fell without firing a shot. The English renamed the colony New York, and New Amsterdam became New York City. The Duke of York gave part of New York to two friends who named it New Jersey in honor of the English island of Jersey. New York and New Jersey would become important English colonies, all part of that middle colony group. So this man right here, Peter Stuyvesant, is going to be important. Around 1637, he was a Swedish colonist who founded that Swedish settlement along the Delaware Bay. He believed the land that they settled belonged to the Dutch, and he was later captured. Today, it is part of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So he may be an important person that we need to take note of with New Netherland, New York, New Jersey settlements. Let's turn to the next page. Okay, so what was daily life like, or what was life like in New York and New Jersey, part of those middle colonies? So if you look at the picture that's down here, you see kind of a country kind of a scene. You can see that it's kind of peppered and dotted with little farms and houses built along a waterway for easy transportation of things. And then you also see a little inset of what New York City back in the 1700s would have looked like. So when we think about New York City today, it's hustle bustle, it's crowded, people speaking different languages, just a very diverse and very busy city. Well, this was New York even back in the 1700s. So New York has always been a city or a place where it's been very busy with lots of people. So let's take a look at what life in the middle colonies of New York and New Jersey would have been like. Through trade, New York and New Jersey soon developed strong economies. Like New York's Hudson River, New Jersey's Delaware River became a major river for trade. The colony also had flat farmland and a mild climate. The rich soil and mild weather agriculture kept New Jersey's economy strong. Groups from many lands. Instead of being owned by the king or a company, both New York and New Jersey were owned by a man or a small group of men. They were called proprietors. These owners appointed the governors and ran the colonies like a business. To attract new settlers, proprietors, or these wealthy landowners, offered newcomers free land. They also promised religious freedom and gave settlers a voice in their government. What was the downside? Settlers had to pay taxes. Still, a diverse population of German, Dutch, Irish, English, Quaker, and Swedish settlers came to the colonies from Europe. So when we think about the middle colonies, they are going to be much more open to diverse people living there. They also are going to have more tolerance with people who have different religious backgrounds. And when we think about New York today, that is another piece of what New York is all about today. All right, daily life in New York and New Jersey, part of those middle colonies. Have you ever heard the phrase, sharing is caring? Well, sharing is not only caring, it is also very smart. The settlers of New York and New Jersey learned new skills by sharing their knowledge. Swedes, for example, taught people how to build cabins out of logs. Scottish or Scots shared farming ideas with Germans. Native Americans taught the colonists how to hunt for whales off of the shore of Long Island. The new settlers had to work hard to earn a living. Some grew corn, wheat, barley, or oats. Others worked as merchants, loggers, shipbuilders, or iron workers. Walking in colonial New York City, people heard different languages and tasted foods from many different countries in restaurants and homes. People also practiced many different religions. In both New York and New Jersey, Catholics and Protestants worshiped freely. For these groups, life was better in the middle colonies than it had been in Europe or New England. However, life was not better for everyone in the middle colonies. When the English took over New Netherlands, free Africans had been working in the colonies since 1626, but that came to an end in 1690. the English wrote new laws that said even free Africans could be enslaved. Again, when we talk about people being here and coming here and living here on their free will, some did and some did not. All right, that concludes our lesson for today. You are going to be asked to talk about some important people that lived and helped out in the Middle Colonies, talking specifically about New York and New Jersey. Thanks, everybody.